Hey guys, what's going on?
So Ketan, I just want to ask you a few questions, man, because my partner was talking to you, and he said a lot of good things about you. So yeah, can you tell us a little bit about you and what you do?
Yes, so what I do is I used to be pharmacist years ago, but I realized I have the entrepreneur gene baked in, and I was running a senior care business. I still run a real estate business, but what really got my attention is not the excitement with business, but the mindset. I realized that if you could really understand yourself, your fears, your limiting beliefs, your purpose, if you could leverage your emotions, time, what's possible for you, for anybody, is just unreal. So I shifted and I became a mindset coach, and I have
Uh-huh.
gone with Wim Hof to climb mountain in 20 Fahrenheit weather, not wearing shorts. I've raised 10 times the amount of money for my real estate business using all these principles. So what I do with people is shift their beliefs, give them a new paradigm to think about success.
Yeah, yeah, got you. A lot of people are underestimating mindset. A lot of people are kind of like, "Oh, I got it." It's just mindset.
Yeah.
So why is mindset so important when it comes to
Yeah.
entrepreneurship or closing, influencing other people?
Yes. So what happens is this, right? There are three levels of being an entrepreneur or being a business, the way I look at it. First is you're working in the business. You're doing the day
Mhm.
to day, making the calls or post or whatever business you are doing, which I was doing too. After a while, you have to realize that's not the way. You have to work on the business. You hire good people, you have strategy, process, systems. So it's all replicable. But then you realize, well, it's just hitting a top. Who's actually
Yeah.
doing all this? It's actually me. And I don't even know about my own mind. I don't know what really scares me. I don't know what I really, really want if I could have anything. So then I realized I started making these shifts, and immediately it had nothing to do with the business. The business started changing. And that's when
Uh,
I saw the power firsthand. So to give you an example, and I have a coach too that helped me a lot with all of these things. To give you
yeah.
an example, I'm running a senior care business where I was spending 30 to 40 hours a week running
Uh-huh.
30 to 40 caregivers. And my limiting belief was, hey, you know what? I'm the boss. I have to be here. If I'm not here every
Yeah.
day doing all this, nobody could really do it until I hire a manager. I've been working 3 to 5 hours a week in that business for last 2.5 years. It's making
Uh-huh.
the same revenue and the same impact because I shifted my belief that I don't necessarily need to be there. I need to put systems in place. And that's just one example. Everybody is dealing with some other different kinds of limiting beliefs.
Yeah. 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 That's cool, man. And so, like, how can you be able to make that shift? You know,
Yep.
like,
So to
like,
yeah,
because I feel like a lot of people are not even aware of their limiting beliefs. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
yes, you are 100% right. What limiting beliefs are is imagine a fish swimming in the ocean. The fish is
Yeah.
always in the water, and it's not
Yeah.
even aware that, hey, I'm in the water because it doesn't
Yeah.
know anything. It just lives and breathes. There's no distance, right? Same thing.
Uh-huh.
Before I got into all this 3, 4 years ago, I had all these limiting beliefs, but they were so close to me that I was living and breathing them, which is like most people. So what you have to do is you have to create a distance first of all, so you could observe what's happening. And to do all that, I dedicated 1 hour or 2 hour a week where I'll go to my favorite coffee shop for years now, where my phone's off, everything shut off, and I really, really think about these things. No business, nothing to do with money, none of it. It's all about, okay, if I could have anything I want, like, why do I believe I can't have it? Keep asking the question. Sometimes it comes right away, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you could have use a mentor or a friend that's successful in business,
Yeah.
and see. So like, let's say hypothetically, my I wanted to run multiple business. I didn't
Yeah.
really knew my limiting belief until I hang out with one of my friends, spend a weekend. He runs 80 different LLCs, and
Yeah.
it really questioned me. I'm like, okay, so what I'm thinking is just not true because this guy's doing. You have to get the reference experiences. So
Gotcha.
you have to get focused on that. Stop consuming other information. We are in the information age. There's so
Yeah.
much information out there, we really get distracted and we hop from one thing to the next thing to the next. So ask yourself, okay, my number one goal is to find my limiting beliefs. I don't care if it's going to take me a month or two or four, and I'm
Uh-huh.
going to take these actions to become more aware for that.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay, so just kind of like take time and be aware of that. And you say like have somebody else watch over you, right?
Yes,
Um,
somebody else watch over, because the other thing is this, right? Think about this. You could be the smartest neurosurgeon in the world, but if you need
yeah.
brain surgery, you'll need another neurosurgeon that's outside of you. So you really could ask a friend or anybody you trusted, advisor, anybody that could be like, "Hey, I'm trying to achieve this. What do you think could be my beliefs?" The other options is this too. Limiting beliefs are often related to your capabilities or goals. So ask, if I ask you right now that if you could have absolutely anything in the world, what would you have? And then if you are like,
Mm,
oh, I would have $1 million, and but then I ask you, how comfortable do you feel? And do you feel, well, I would have it, but you know what, I just don't know the knowledge, or I don't
yeah.
have the time from my other job. So we see where limiting beliefs are coming. It's not having the knowledge, not having the network, not having the time, doubting your own capabilities and strengths, and it's loosely related to. So you could ask yourself that question: if you could have anything, what goals? And then if you feel, wow, I could have this goal, what is the roadblock? Oftentimes it's linked with it.
Yeah, yeah. So like how do you like write goals and how do you like achieve the goals, you know? Like sometimes you have goals that are like crazy, that's what people suggest, to have like crazy goals like out of your reach. But then
Yeah.
when you have those goals that are out of your reach, you just kind of like I don't know if I can achieve this. I write it down, but it's like I cannot just it's hard to just imagine yourself being that person.
Yes. So what happens is, the psychology behind having a higher goal is that, so let's say if you're making $100,000 right now, and if
Yeah,
your goal is to make 150, which is one and a half times, you are not
yeah.
going to radically shift your thinking and acting and what you
Okay.
are doing. But if you are thinking, I want to make $1 million, it's your approach for making 100,000 is most likely not going to work. So it's going to force you to think new ways, which is great. But at the
Yeah,
same time, that goal is in future, which causes a hyperbolic discounting where you're like, it seems too far. I don't know. 6 months have went by. I haven't made any progress. So to counter that, you also have monthly and yearly, or 3 month quarterly goals. So what happens is, let's say your goal is to make $1 million in, I'm assuming that's a ridiculous amount hypothetically, in 2 years.
yeah.
Then
I want to make $1 million.
oh, all right, I know you always be like, yeah, that's a very short change goal. But hypothetically, let's make it ten
Yeah,
million
yeah,
dollars in 3 years,
yeah,
right? What happens is you have to look backwards. That means, what actions do I need to do in 3 years? What do I need to do in 2 years, 1 year, 6 months? And you break out, and then what you do, it's like a tree. When the tree is growing, you don't see the growth. You don't see the
yeah,
change like, one day, 1 week, but you instantly 2 weeks or 2 months later, it's just like sprouting. The same way you break down into mini goals for your task and actions. Because if you could take consistent action daily, which is
yeah,
difficult for a lot of people because you get distracted, but if you could do that, absolutely you will reach that goal. And I'll give you my example. So
yeah,
when I was 25, 26, when I was a pharmacist, I was like, oh, it'll be cool to have $1 million worth of real estate. And I
yeah,
didn't know anything about real estate. But I had a 5 year goal. I didn't know anything about self improvement, none of it. But I asked myself, to reach that goal, all I need to know is one thing: I need to be buying a property this year. If it's
yeah,
100,000 or 200,000, I don't care. I need to, because if I don't make that happen, I'm not gonna continue the momentum. And what happened? I bought a property, worth 100,000 with two guys, but later on I bought 100, then 200, 400, 800, then apartments
yeah.
increase, and it naturally rolls over, but you don't see the latter part growing like this, just like a curve.
Gotcha, gotcha. Okay. Um, I was gonna ask a very good question, but I forgot to write it down. Um, So, we know a lot of people say they want to be an entrepreneurs, they want to be a great closer, and um, I just feel like they feel like they need to practice, they need to learn, learning loops, right? They need to do all of those things in order to claim that identity to become a closer or to become an entrepreneur. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Yep.
And I say they should do the opposite, claim the identity first, and then do it.
Yes, I know exactly what you're referring to. What you are referring it to classic paradox of people thinking that once I'm confident, I
Yeah,
will buy real estate, I will close deals, I'll be an elite closer once I'm confident, but it works reverse. You have to do that actual work, and whatever happens, you sometimes succeed, you fail. That builds the confidence. So it's okay to learn a little bit in the beginning, get some information, get some training wheels, nothing wrong with it. But after
yeah,
a while, you have to start taking action. And I agree with you in adopting that identity, because when you are
yeah,
working from that identity of, I'm a master closer, you are attracting those kind of thoughts, you're attracting those kind of people, you're looking at those information in your frame shifts versus,
yeah,
well, once I close 10 deals, I'll consider myself master closer, or whatever the situation is.
yeah. 100%. And why do you think that worked though? It works. I mean, before when I was in high school,
Yep.
I didn't know how to swim at all. I didn't know how to swim, and I joined swimming team.
Okay.
I didn't practice anything. I just like, yep, I'm gonna join swim team.
Yep.
When I want to be an entrepreneur, when I want to be a closer, I'm not ready. I haven't gone through like much training yet. I just pick up the phone and dial. And I
Yep.
think that's one of the things that a lot of people like having trouble is that one of my friends is like, dude, I need to go to training, I need to like learn from you this before I get started, and then they have this phase where they procrastinate, where they're
Yes.
stuck in that learning loops.
Yes.
And how do you think people can like break out of that?
Sure. So, and I've done extensive research on that part, from Tony Robbins coaching to my experience to meditation, and I like to combine all the aspects. So, what happens is this, and that's very common in a lot of my real estate clients do the same thing. You
Hmm.
read the books, you maybe do a course, so you understand how to analyze a deal, but you are not going out buying that property. So why that happens is there are a lot of reasons, but the bigger ones, number one is fear of failure. So subconsciously,
Oh,
what happens is you are just afraid it's not going to work, and what you don't want to find that out. So let me just not try it. That's the best way to avoid it. That's the number one reason, fear of failure. Another
hmm,
reason is not having a deep moving purpose. So if your purpose is,
hmm,
oh, I want to make like X amount of money, nothing wrong with money. But you know what? A lot of times we are taking purposes from other people and what society tells us. It needs to be very, very specific. Maybe it's for so I could have a better life for my son, or I could do something my dad. It means
yeah,
something to me.
yeah,
Your emotions needs to be moving. So when you have
yeah,
a deeper purpose and you sync it and you link it, then when you feel that fear of failure or you're not sure, you'll still at least take a step. So one thing
yeah.
is fear of failure, another is purpose, the third is lack of clarity. When you are not
Clarity.
clear on what you want and how you're going to get it, at least on a preliminary level, your
Yeah,
brain gets confused. And now it's just like, I don't know if I should be doing this. What if this is where should I be doing this? Or I don't have time. Like, it gets confusing. So those are
yeah,
three primary reasons. And unfortunately, to solve all of them, you need to take action. And to your example, I bought a senior care business. I had no money. I knew nothing about that business. But I was like, hey, I want to quit pharmacy. This is not my thing. I will just do it. I made it
yeah.
happen. I got investors. I got a owner's loan, and I had 30 employees from day one. I knew nothing about this business, and it was
Wow.
hell for the first
Yeah,
year. But that's the only way. Sometimes you have to jump in. If you keep waiting, when is the right moment arrive where everything's
yeah,
aligned and you
yeah.
can do what you want to do?
Yeah, like one of the things that the quote that changed my life is men who live significant life are those that never wait.
Yes,
You know,
absolutely. Yep.
um, And so I just want to repeat what you just said, because this is $1 million advisor here, guys. First, if you're not getting the result that you want, if you're not taking massive action, if you feel like you procrastinate is number one killer of all entrepreneur. Number one killer. Okay, so that means you're afraid of failing. Okay, that's one of the first reason that Ketan mentioned. Second is you lack of purpose. You don't have a burning desire, right? It's like a fire. A low fire produce low heat. Um, Third is clarity. You're not having a clear. You're not having a vision. You don't see it, right? Can you talk a little bit more about clarity, because I'm not really 100%
Sure.
sure what
Sure,
it
and
is.
clarity is a very complex subject. And what happens is, number one thing with clarity is a process, not an event. A lot of times, what people think is, um, you know, I should be knowing right away what I need to be doing with my life, or what kind of customers I need to be targeting, or what kind of marketing I need to be using. Whatever the situation, it's not an event, it's a process. When you see other people, you think it's an event. Oh, this guy knows what he's doing. Oh, he seems so confident, but they don't know that even for me, it took trials and errors to arrive. So, number one thing is clarity is a process, it's not an event. It comes, second thing is, it comes on the way. So when you start taking action, what clarity is you knowing that I'm just using real estate because I use that example. Not
Yeah,
saying, okay, I want to buy lots of property. Saying, I want to buy single family homes that are worth 200 to 300,000 in X amount of area, that are built in this 1980 to 1990. Hyper focus. So knowing what kind of business you are in, what your ideal customer is, what they're
gotcha.
earning for, where, being clear versus just being shotgun approach versus just being all over the place, right? So like,
Yeah.
for example, for me, I work with certain kinds of individuals because I know they need to have certain requirements. But if I try to coach everybody, go all over the place, it's not going to necessarily work. So whoever the people in the closer group, they need to define how much money are we talking about they want to make. I want to be specific. This year, I want to make $100,000 a year, and my
Mhm.
average ticket is whatever, $2,000, and I'm going to be using this approach. Having that clear plan
Yeah.
and sticking with it, taking some action, and then you're going to get feedback. You might get a feedback that, hey, this is not working at all.
Mhm.
Let's change the approach. Or this is
Yeah.
working amazing. Let's multiply it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what happened to myself too, and a lot of people, right? Is that sometimes we lose focus. Sometimes we
Yeah.
fall off the track.
Yeah.
This world is full of distractions.
Yes.
How do you deal with that?
So that's a very good question. So what happens is, now this is becoming more important than ever. I have struggled with all the time with that issue as well. So what happens is this: you need to remind yourself daily, and that's why you need a morning ritual. To
Hmm.
what are you going to focus today? Because let's say you got some insight from this call or from a book or a seminar, and things are great for a week. What happens after that? We think 60,000 thoughts a day,
Yeah.
60 to 70 on average. That's a low number estimate, and most of the thoughts are similar. So what happens is, those thoughts, they take over your process that you have just developed. So to stay focused, the number one thing you could do is remind yourself every day in the morning. I do
Gotcha.
meditation. Maybe you could
Hmm.
read a question, breathing exercise,
Yeah.
whatever. Like today, my goal is to get XYZ done for my business so I could move a
Gotcha.
step ahead. This is, I'm focused. And it's okay. Very
Yeah.
normal to get distracted, and then you catch yourself. Oh, what am I doing? This is not
Yeah.
leading to where I need to go. Let me go back. We don't need to get frustrated, penalize ourselves, because that's
Yeah.
create more frustration. So you just want to be aware that, okay, I'm spending time here, it's not leading to what outcomes I want. So let me just switch. And once you do it, it's like building a muscle. Your muscle gets built. And now
Yeah.
you're stronger and stronger. You don't need to pay that much attention. Naturally, you put the focus. So,
Yeah. I totally agree. You know, distractions is probably the number one enemy, and having a reminder is like, it's almost like it's like something that can keep us on the on the clarity, the purpose, right? And
Yep.
so I have something it's called a creed. I read it every single morning.
Yes.
Um, I think every single person should have something like this, right?
Yes.
Do you
Yes.
like look at your goals every day?
Yes, perfect. That's what I was talking about. Either you meditate, you have a creed, you look at the goals, whatever jives with you, but something to remind you when you wake up what this is all about.
Yeah. Um, do you guys have any question? This is the best time to ask questions right here, guys. Um, Hello, guys. Thank you for your information. I have a question here. What process I have to use to find my why? Dude, this is a great question. I don't know who you are, but great question.
Yeah.
Because you were mentioned about like not having a purpose, not having a clarity, and that will lead to failure, right?
Yep.
And so, like, how do you find your purpose? A lot of people don't know their purpose, and a lot of
Yes.
people don't know why they're on this earth.
Yes, and again, purpose, again, it's the same way like clarity. It's a process, it's not an event. So having that
Oh,
answer, knowing right away, and this is where a lot
yeah,
of people trip. They're like, well, I don't know my purpose. I don't know. What happens is
yeah,
naturally we evolve, so our purpose evolves. So what you do right now is, what is my purpose in this capacity right now? Why do I want it? Ask yourself, what are your goals? What do you want? How do you want to help people? Do you want to volunteer? How do you want to help your family?
yeah,
What's your desire? Those are the questions you basically write down, and that's your why, that's your purpose. And now, as you go along in your journey, you refine it, you refine it, you refine it. So
gotcha.
first, my purpose was when I was a pharmacist, my purpose was very simple. I need to leave this job and I
Uh-huh.
need to basically be my own boss because I want to use my freedom. I'm a creative guy. I love taking risks. I love business. That's simple. But then I got into
Yeah,
business and realized this is more than me. I want to support people. I want to have passive income. Blah blah blah. You update it, update it, update it. So you just ask yourself, what
gotcha.
do you want? What do you want to do for other people's? And then that'll give you some idea on your preliminary purpose. And then we fine tune it.
Yeah, gotcha. So essentially, it's like an onion, right? And
Yeah.
you peel in the layers and
Yeah.
layers, and then you eventually find your deepest purpose. Um,
Exactly. Exact 100%.
yeah. So like here's my here's something that I concern. Let's say if somebody want to be a closer, right?
Yep.
And of course they don't want to be a closer, be on the phone for the rest of their life, right? I mean, you're not going to do real estate for the rest of your life, right? I mean, you might be doing some sort of different variation, right? Maybe you go to investing, maybe you flipping houses. You know what I'm saying?
So,
Um,
okay.
yeah. So my question is like, how long should a person commit to that one layer of onion? You know what I'm talking about before they
Yeah,
move to the next layer.
sure. And what happens is naturally we evolve and we might decide maybe this business is not for me or maybe this is higher fulfillment. The goal is
Yeah,
initially whatever you set, you should commit. It's not a hard set number if it should be 6 months or it's a year, but you don't
yeah,
want to basically you want to try at least few times as best as give your best, and then if it doesn't work, it's okay because if you don't give your best and if you don't take all the action, you would not find the lessons that are in disappointment and failures, and all the things that didn't go to plan. And you want to find out those things because that's where the answers lie a lot of times, where it's like, okay, this is what's going. So, have your purpose, have a goal for 1 year, and just go at it. And then you revise it. Remember, nobody could tell you what your purpose should be. You have that
yeah.
power. So the beauty is, hey, if you don't like it in a year or two, you change it. Nobody could tell you not to. That's the beauty of it. Just commit to something for like a short term.
Yeah, but have like a time where when you're gonna be committed to that, right?
Absolutely. Without
Yeah,
commitment, nothing's going to happen. So,
yeah, gotcha. And so, yeah, I just want to summarize what you're talking about, right? In terms of uncovering limited beliefs, right? Have somebody to watch over you because sometimes you're not even aware of,
yeah,
your own limited beliefs.
Yep.
And what else? What else? How do we uncover the limiting beliefs? I know you mentioned earlier, but I want you, just to kind of like
Sure.
finalize the thought.
So it would be a lot of it would just come from self-reflection, and it's something that most people they just have never spent the time, so they just don't know how it works. I've spent incredible amount of time in that arena, but like I said, spending that 1 hour or 2 hour a week and asking yourself the same question: What's really stopping me from getting what I want? Just ask that
Hmm.
one question. That's it, and that will come right away. If I want X, what's stopping me? Well, if
Yeah,
it's money, then you have limiting beliefs around money. If it's your capability, then you have limiting around that. Or you're like, I'm just not that smart enough. Or you know
yeah,
what?
yeah,
Maybe because my parents they never like really helped me with anything. Whatever this answer
yeah.
comes up, it's going to lead you to that limiting belief, and
Oh,
then
gotcha.
you unravel them, you work with it. If
Uh-huh.
you want, for this group, I could share a link of a webinar I did with
Uh-huh.
a bunch of people, and it's a hour webinar. It goes in step. I've used my own limiting beliefs with coaching, how that works, and what an anatomy of a belief is. Where do we get
Yeah.
it? What are the legs that are supporting it? How do we shake the legs? It's premium stuff, but as long as you're
Hmm.
if people could say, hey, we won't post this anywhere and we'll just keep it to ourselves, and if it's a small group, I'll send that link, so if people watch it, they'll get even more idea on all these things.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So
Yeah.
if they want, if they want somebody to watch over them, right? If they want somebody like you to coach them on mindset, right?
Yeah.
How do they come to you?
So you could I could share my email, and then they could drop me a line, and I'll be happy to chat if it makes sense for me to, because I work with individuals that have certain thresholds because of the
Hmm.
techniques I use. I want them to take it and run with it. But if
Yeah,
we could share an email and they could reach out, and that's what actually my coach helped me a lot with this. And I didn't knew much about coaching. I didn't knew about
yeah.
all this until he challenged me, because he's outside me and I'm paying
Hmm.
him. He doesn't need to make me happy. He doesn't
Yeah.
need to be nice to me. So he would be like, okay, why are you buying this property? Why are you not buying property 5 times bigger?
Hmm.
And I'll be like, well, I would love to, but I don't know how. Or I
Yeah.
don't know how to find it. So you see the limiting belief pop with the right questioning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And so, like, do you ever like find yourself um kind of like this is what you want to do, and then you got into it for a while, and then you're just like, I don't know. Sometimes I'm you might feel like you're not really like. Let me finalize my thought right here. Sometimes do you ever feel like you're not really enjoy what you're doing, and then you start enjoying it again, and then kind of on and off? Does that ever happen to you?
It's natural. It has happened, but that has a lot to do with your state management, the emotional states, and your state would cover it. It doesn't happen that often because you get
Yeah.
better at understanding what thoughts are causing that, what emotions are causing that, and then you work on them. Because otherwise, there's nothing perfect in this world that you could do. No matter what
Yeah.
you do, the same thoughts and the emotions are going to follow and make you feel like, oh, this is not fun, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, that's what it is. And I have to just hop on to another call, but thank you for the
Yeah.
opportunity. I really appreciate
Yeah.
yeah, going live with you.
Yeah, yeah. Appreciate you showing up, man, and thank you guys for watching this. And I hope you guys got a lot of value from this. And yeah, if you guys need a mindset coach, if you guys want to uncover your limited belief, if you want someone to like watch over you, Katan is the man. And thank you guys. Thank you for watching, and
Thank
see you
you.
soon.
Yeah, take care. Thanks.